candidate is Mr. Arthur Capers. Mr. Capers, we would like you to take 3 to 5 minutes to introduce yourself, and afterwards we will begin our interview process.
He's on. Okay. Thank you. Good evening. And thank you for this opportunity. I am Arthur L. Capers. I am a product of, might as well say Dallas County now. I have been here for 34 years. I have been in Selma City Schools for 30, going on 31 years. I have worked as an alternative school person. I've been as a classroom teacher for about 8 years. I was an assistant principal at R.B. Hudson for 1 year. I was a principal at Payne Elementary for 12 years. I've been at the central office for 9 years, which hopefully that adds up to about 30 plus years at Selma City School. I have worn a lot of hats. I have done a lot of things. Nothing is new to me under the sun. I have heard it all just about, and I've seen it all. I just about have done it all. And I just thank you for this opportunity to hopefully to serve for Selma City Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Capers. At this time, we're going to take questions. You will be given questions from all of the panel and the school board members. And we ask that you answer each question between 3 to 5 minutes. And afterwards, we'll sum it. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I want to introduce every school board member. My name is Johnny Mouse, and I'm school board chair.
My name is Brenda Obamanu, and I'm the vice chair for school board District 2.
Good evening. My name is Danielle Wootson, and I represent District 1 of the Selma City School Board.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Tanya Miles, and I represent District 4 of the Selma City School Board.
Good evening. I'm Phyllis Hauser. I represent District 3 of the Selma City School Board.
And my apologies. Ladies, please forgive me. They keep me straight, y'all. But Mr. Capers, at this time, we're going to go around the room and ask you several questions. We'd ask you to answer the questions between 3 and 5 minutes. And I have the first question. What is your concept of the relationship which should exist between the superintendent and the Board of Education? And what would you do to ensure a mutually satisfactory working relationship?
Okay, I understood that to be what is my concept of the relationship between the board and the superintendent?
That's correct.
Okay. I see the relationship of the board and superintendent as should be a mutual working relationship where the superintendent brings or makes recommendations to the board, and you as the board would enforce policy and procedures, and hopefully if not vote on my recommendation, then give me the opportunity to explain to you what my recommendation entails, and hopefully to bring you on board. But our job is really to get along to set the pace for everyone else in the system. So I would hope our relationship will be one of a good working relationship. And it's our job to agree to disagree. And I wouldn't expect one to agree with everything I say, and I hope you wouldn't expect me to agree to everything that you say. But like I said, our relationship should be one where we come together as a consensus group and for the benefit, the betterment of the kids. Because after all, all decision and all things that we say is for the children. Because without the children, there would be no purpose for us being here or for the job. And the second part of the question was what now?
What would you do to ensure a mutually satisfactory working relationship?
Like I said, I would, if it seemed like that I'm not understood, then I would go the length to talk to each of you individually to try to make you see the point or my point or whatever the issue may be. And if hopefully that will bring us together to bring us to the table together where we'll do the right thing for children or for whatever the situation is. But certainly I wouldn't jaw jash or bash, but just because I couldn't get my way. So I would say that our job is to try to mend this as we go.
My question is, what do you consider your greatest strength for this position and your weaknesses?
Would you repeat that?
What do you consider to be your greatest strength for this position and your weaknesses?
Okay. My greatest strength for this position would be my leadership skills. I feel like that I have good leadership skills in order to organize, plan, and get things done. I'm a really democratic / transformational leader, so therefore I believe in giving the task or assigning the task or giving the task to a group and then expecting that to be done without me standing over him or her micromanaging them. So my greatest asset would be, or my strength would be my leadership style and the things that I bring to the table with my leadership style. On the other hand, my weakness would be sometimes I could be overly compassionate, and that means letting my emotions sometimes get in the way, caring too much. So I would say that's my weakness. Not that that's a weakness, but it can be depending on how you look at it. So that would be my weakness, but generally speaking, I do sometimes care too much. I feel like I care too much or show too much emotions about certain things, but that as I forestated, that would probably be my weakness.
Given your research of Selma City Schools, what innovative strategies and approaches will you employ to increase student achievement, quality of education, facilities, and effective use of funding? What does this plan look like? What will the proposed outcomes look like for Selma City Schools?
Okay. So similarly, you're asking me what would we do? Now, I would incorporate our strategic plan. We have a plan that we devised in 2014 to show us where we want to go and how we want to get there. So my thing is, if we devise that, and I was part of that steering committee, we are working on that plan, so we will use that plan to guide our student achievement, to guide our facilities, the things needed facility-wise, and to guide fiscal matters that arises in the system. So using our strategic plan, our ASIP, and all of the other components that we have come up with, I will put those into place. for instance, for student achievement, we have some initiatives that we are presently doing, and I would enhance those initiatives because I do believe in student achievement. We could use help with student achievement because if you look at the ACIP scores across the district this past year, we didn't do well in reading and math. So my focus would be for student achievement to hone in on reading and math, to put an extra focus on how to get there through reading and math. The main thing is through reading because research has shown that if you can read well, then math comes into play, social studies come into play, science comes into play, all of the other academic areas come into play once you are able to read well. So reading will be my focus as far as curriculum and academics is concerned. Then I would look at also our facilities. I realize that we have problems with in all of our schools, some problems, but we would prioritize our problems and how our money is, and use our funds in a resourceful way to handle the problems in our school, our facility problem. So yes, facilities, because the students do need a safe and a clean place, an orderly place in which to learn. So our facilities are important. And then in finance, we definitely need to streamline our finances. I think we have, and from what I can see from my being in this seat this short time, we are good shepherds of our finance. So I would say we continue what we're doing, and then we'll look at other areas and how to bring resources in. For instance, grants and etc. to go along with our foundation units, and that's what I see as our main focus. But to get us there, we're going to stick to our ACIP. We're going to stick to our strategic plan that we have laid out. We got a plan, like I said, our plan goes to 2018-19, and then it'll be time to renew or revisit the plan. But right now, make the plan work, modify the plan, what we have. So basically what I'm saying is we will not go back and reinvent the wheel. Use what we got and make it work for us. Now, what was the second part of your question?
What will the proposed outcomes look like for Selma City Schools?
The proposed outcomes will look like an increase in student achievement, better facilities, then, of course, being financially or fiscal sound. That will be our outcomes if we follow what we already have laid out. Follow our strategic plan, follow our ACIP. I truly believe that we will get those things in time. But now, it's going to take us time. We just didn't go belly up overnight. So therefore, in order to make the progress we are going to make, it's going to take us some time to get there. But I do believe we are on the right track of getting there. Thank you.
Mr. Capers, talk to us about your approach to student discipline.
Student discipline, we should follow. We have a document. We have the Student Code of Conduct, and we should use the Student Code of Conduct to guide our discipline decisions. Now, when it goes beyond the Student Code of, it shouldn't go beyond, because whatever the situation or the circumstance is whatever the Student Code of Conduct says, that's what we will follow. Now, sometimes there are extenuating circumstances where one would have to make a leadership decision. But ultimately, for discipline or any other behavior or type item, we will follow the student code of conduct.
Mr. Capers, describe your thoughts regarding citizen participation in school matters, and how would you keep the community fully informed about their school?
That's a good question for me, because when I took over as principal of Payne, I could not have done it without the community, and mainly the volunteers that came into Payne Elementary School to lend us a hand, tutoring, fundraising. And fundraising was a big thing for me. I'm not bragging, but I had a substantial amount of money while there through fundraising. So bringing in the community, and not only that, businesses will give to our schools. So yes, I do believe in bringing the community in, and then we need to keep the community informed. We do that through newsletters, we do that through the radio and other medias, or do that through the newspapers, do that through bulletins that goes out to the various churches. But because without these resources, I could not have made it. And today, we still need those same resources to help us in the school. So I will keep the community informed. I would invite the community to come in, because we do need the community to be vested with our school system.
Mr. Capers, what would you do if the board disagreed with a policy you believe to be educationally sound?
What I would do is I'll bring that policy to you or to the board, and I will have the policy fully explained. Now, if it does not work in a group, then I would get you individually and say, hey, this is what this policy says, this is what it does, this is what it's going to do for children, and try to get you to see it that way. But to force you, yes, to individually educate you to it, yes, I would be willing to individually educate you to it, bring it back to the whole group, and then hopefully that you would approve the policy that I am presenting. Because any policy that I present would be for the children, for the betterment of the school system.
Mr. Capers, what are the elements for an innovative educational program? How will you evaluate such a program?
The elements for an innovative educational program would be where it's going, in other words, what the outcome is going to be for students. What would the students gain? How would they get this, whatever it is that we're trying to deliver? Who is going to be delivered by? Will it be delivered by highly qualified teachers, etc., etc.? And of course, what the cost is going to be, because not most, but some innovative things require money, sometimes substantial amount of money. So all of those things will be researched and brought to you to let you know how we're going to arrive at this point, and how we're going to get there, in other words. So yes, innovation is good, because this is 21st century, and we expect our teachers and our staff to be innovative. But the ideas also are costly. So we'll be looking at ideas that are most cost effective to help enhance teaching and learning. And what was the second part of your question?
also asks, how would you evaluate such a program?
How would you evaluate it? If the students are learning or gaining from whatever the idea is, you know that it's working. If it's used for say a month or 2 months and dished to the side, it's not working. It's just an initiative. And I do not believe in just trying things just to try, just because it's new. So if it's helping us to achieve the goal, to fill the student achievement gap, yes, I believe in that initiative and I will support it. And that's how we would evaluate it, because it is how it's helping the student.
What are the top 3 priorities to produce measurable outcomes in either student achievement, quality of education, facilities, or effective use of funding? Give us examples of some growth you've seen in your experience and some proof points.
Would you repeat that one more time, please?
What are the top 3 priorities to produce measurable outcomes in student achievement, quality of education, facilities, and effective use of funding? Give examples of growth you've seen in your experience and proof points.
Okay. The top 3 outcomes to measure student achievement is when teachers are allowed to teach. Okay? That's meaning that they are not restricted. Then when students are allowed to learn, in other words, that they are taught how to learn. Most of our kids do not know how to learn, and you have to teach them how to learn. They need to know how to self-regulate. They need to know how to, not only that, they need to know, in other words, claim their own data. They need to know that. They need to know how to reflect. And most of our kids don't know anything about reflecting. So all they know is recall. And we got to go beyond the recall and teach them how to make application. Teach them how to make strategic reasoning. And then, of course, our teachers got to include the rigor. That's why our children, in my opinion, miss the boat. They want the easy way out. They don't want to do what they call the hard stuff. That's going to require them to think, and that's why they miss. That's why they miss it on the standardized test. Not that they don't know, is that most of the time the language or the verbiage gets them, because we don't teach the language, we don't teach the verbiage, because we don't go that deep with them, and so they are only used to recall. So in order to change that, we got to dig deeper and teach them the rigor, teach them how to self-reflect, teach them how to self-regulate, and then that will in turn change their learning patterns. Then they would definitely engage in learning, and we will see things turn around. As far as facilities, the same way. We have to encourage principals and to fix up their building, to paint it up, fix it up. We don't have the money to give them, but the PTA can do it. And not necessarily the PTA, whatever resourceful way that they go out to get to help shape up or make our facilities look better, and that in turn help us on the financial end with our finances also, because we won't have to dig in our general fund to try to fund all of these things, because as you know, in our general fund we have to keep a reserve, and if we don't keep our reserve, then we're in trouble. So that's what I see our areas that we need to improve in, to learn to get our students on the ball to how to self-regulate and how to reflect, how to think and think more critically or strategically in their learning. I know we'll be able to close the gap then, we was going to see the difference in their score. We're going to see a difference in their thinking. So all of these things we have started, but we're nowhere we need to be. No, we're not. But we have started, and we're going to get better with it.
Mr. President, may I address Mrs. Wilson? Can you tell me the category and number of the question you just asked? The category and number. This is for Mrs. Wilson. Thank you.
You talking to me?
Yes, sir. Dr. Miles?
I'm talking to you now, Mr. Capers. Mr. Capers, what do you see as the superintendent's role in budgeting and fiscal matters when it comes to the board, your administrative staff, as well as the faculty?
Okay. The superintendent's role is let's start with the board. Our role is to keep you informed, as we do. Our CSFO talks with me, brings until lets me know where we are financially, brings the report to you to let you know where we are financially. Now, I don't believe, like I said, micromanaging, taking over his or her department. So I trust them to do their job, whatever their job may be. So my role in fiscal management is to make sure that we stay financially solid and not go in the red, that we stay in the black, and to keep you informed on how we are doing as far as keeping you in the black.
Okay, that was the board. What about the administrators? What about your building principals?
All right. What about our building principals doing what now?
What is your role in helping them with their budget?
My role in helping the building principals, now they don't really have a budget, but my role is to help them to make sure that their title monies are spent wisely and for children, not just spending on frivolous things just because they're pretty or etc. Then my role will also be to make sure that the money that the PTO or the community brings in, that it is put to a good use for the betterment of the students and the school. So that's about it as far as the monies that the schools have, because they don't really have a budget per se. And was there something else I missed?
Mr. Capers, what are your ideas about parental involvement in bridging the gap between home and school? And what methods do you suggest in accomplishing this?
I truly believe in the home and school connection. I was raised, I'm a baby boomer, and I believe in what happens at home carries over to the school. What happens at the school carries over to home. Therefore, you're keeping the parents involved, and you're keeping the community involved, and the child knows that he or she cannot get away with anything because my school and my parents are connected. And if we keep that connection, it helps us to raise the child, because we do raise the children because we have them longer than the parents have them. So I believe, like I said, I believe in the home and school connection. It's the best thing that ever happened, and we need to strengthen the home and school connection. That's a hard thing to do because we have a lot of, I want to say, a lot of young parents who have little or no parenting skills. A lot of them are children themselves with children. So we got to find a way to help them to become better parents in the home and school connection. So that connection is very, very important. It's very important that we keep that connection viable with the home and the school, because they do go hand in hand.
What is the role of the superintendent in stimulating the faculty toward professional growth and self-improvement? Outline the types of programs you feel will provide adequate professional growth and development for the staff. How do you determine the needs?
Okay. To determine what my role is to make sure that our staff gets the professional development for growth that they need. And you can only do this through, well, you can do it several ways. You can do it through surveys. You can do it through observation. So one of the two ways I would use, I would survey, or either I would observe, or the principals would observe what the teachers need. Now, they can better tell you what they need, but sometimes the administrator has to do it, but either or. And once we find out what they need, then we can either send them to the PD, or sometimes it's more feasible to bring the PD to them. But yes, we will offer them whatever they need to help make them better teachers in the classroom, where they can serve kids. In other words, be better for our children, because we do want them to be on top of it. We do want them to be on the cutting edge, because our children need to be on the cutting edge. So yes, we will send them to, I believe in PD, I believe in sending them, but they need to not just think they got a holiday. They need to be able to go, obtain the knowledge, bring it back, turn it around, make it work. And that's where we have failed with somewhat, because they want to go, but they don't want to bring it back and turn it around. And that's a waste of money and time and other resources. So yes, I believe in sending them when they are able to go, obtain the knowledge, bring it back, turn it around, make it work for our system, for boys and girls.
Mr. Capers,
Yes, ma'am.
is there anything that you just burning to tell us that our questions did not provide an opportunity for you to discuss with us?
I just want to say that once again, I am a product of Selma City Schools. I do believe in our children and in our teachers and our people. I believe that we can change the culture and the climate here. We can make it better. There's a lot of work to be done, and we are ready to roll up our sleeves to do that work, to help make our system number one, as we state that it will be in our mission and in our vision, what we see for Selma City School. So our job is to make my job will be to make our mission and our vision come to fruition by putting all of our resources together so that our children will be on the cutting edge and compete in the world, in the global society, and compete well. Because we do have some smart kids, very smart kids. They just need the opportunity.
Mr. Capers, are there any questions that you would like to ask us?
I do not have any.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time, and we appreciate the honesty asking the questions, and we thank you for the interview. And at this time, we're going to take I'm sorry. Ms. Woon has another question.
Okay.
She wants to follow up on a question.
Okay.
Well,
Yes,
I gave
ma'am.
it to everybody else, and I forgot to say it when I asked you. It was the question regarding professional development.
Okay.
The follow-up to that was, give us some examples of programs you implemented in the past.
Okay. Well, we streamlined RTI. We did restorative justice, and restorative justice is simply discipline, looking at strategies to deal with discipline. And we're going to partner with the University of Alabama, and they're going to come on site with us and work with a group and side by side with the principals to help us with strategies to deal with discipline, because discipline is a problem. It brings about disruption. It takes up class time, and we're not here to handle a discipline problem. We're here to teach and to learn. So that's one thing that we've looked at, and we are definitely working hard to solve. And the other one is strategic teaching and depth of knowledge. We're looking at both of those. We are training our teachers. They've had some, but not enough training where they have fully grasped the idea of how to make this work. So those are our main focuses, because if we get those two things under our belts, we feel that everything else will fall into play.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Again, thank you, Mr. Capers, for taking time to interview with us tonight. And we really appreciate it. And good luck.
Thank you. And thank you for the opportunity.
So thank all of you.